Thank you, Danielle. Good morning. Welcome to this service of worship at the Unitarian Universalist Church of Tucson. My name is Celeste Rogers, and I am your worship associate this morning. Today is Sunday, August 17th, 2025. Our community is striving to become as varied as the blooms of the Sonoran Desert. Whoever you have been, we welcome you. Whoever you are, we welcome you. And whoever you are becoming, we welcome you and invite you to bring your whole self here now. There are gender-specific bathrooms out the glass doors behind you and to your right. And there's also an accessible and gender-inclusive single-stall restroom in the alcove behind the AV desk. On Sunday mornings only, the sanctuary, the social hall, our parking lots, and our children's classrooms are all open to all without invitation. However, we have designated a number of other areas as private, even on Sunday morning. Private offices are labeled, and entry to those spaces are by invitation only for all of us, and also any law enforcement officers, including ICE, unless they have a proper judicial warrant. If you do not feel safe and need to take advantage of these spaces, you are invited to do so. As we worship today, let us always remain mindful of those desert people who came first to this place and whose land was stolen in successive acts of displacement and genocide. We honor the O'odham, the Yaqui, and the Apache. We also honor the Hohokam and the many other ancient indigenous peoples whose names are not known to us. In order to strengthen our community, we commit ourselves to upholding each of the 7 Unitarian Universalist shared values. One of our core values is interdependence. We honor the interdependent web of existence with reverence for the great web of life, and with humility, we acknowledge our place in it. We covenant to protect Earth and all beings from exploitation. We will create and nurture sustainable relationships of care and respect, mutuality and justice. We will work to repair harm and damaged relationships. As we move more deeply into the sacred space of worship, we proclaim that our community strives to become as varied as the blooms of the Sonoran Desert, so that we may better reflect the wonderful diversity with which Southern Arizona is blessed. The very diversity in humanity which we celebrate continues to be under direct attack. Be assured that we value you for what you bring to us today, all of who you are. We need to protect one another fiercely, more now than ever. It has become an act of radical love and defiance to proclaim that we welcome you. So please call out those words with conviction when I gesture to you. Whether you walked, rolled, shuffled, or skipped in, we welcome you. Whatever cultural and ethnic background you claim, we welcome you. Whatever your immigration status is, we welcome you. Whomever you love, however you identify your gender, and in whatever way you choose to express it, we welcome you. We especially welcome any new visitors this morning. If you are new and feeling up to it, we invite you to raise your hand so that we can welcome you warmly. Thank you for joining us this morning. The topic this morning is the push and pull of migration. I invite you now to turn to a neighbor, preferably someone you didn't have breakfast with, and take turns answering the following question. And I know this question might be really deep, so I hope that we will continue these conversations later during social hour. Have you ever had to leave a place, a city, state, or country which you called home and migrate to another place, either for economic, health, safety, or some other reason? What was that like?
As Celeste said, this is a big question. This is a big question, and it's one we're going to talk about all day today. So you'll have some more time to think about your own story and how your story brought you here to where we are now. So let's move into worship. Come, whoever you are. Ian Riddell invites us into sacred, reflective time with the words originally attributed to that mystic and poet Rumi. Ian asks, do you hear that voice calling you, calling us? That voice that calls us together here today in this room, made holy by our presence and by the sacred breath we share in our singing and speaking and silence. That voice which calls us to remember that we are not alone, that we are inexorably linked to all other life, woven into a vast tapestry of existence of which we are a powerful, integral, and holy part. And just as we have been called together here today, we act as the voice, the heart, the call of one another. The call to walk with the wanderers, sing and dance with the worshipers, proclaim the memory of those who have taken their leave, wrap the despairing and the broken in the arms of love and community, and hold the hands of all of us who have broken our vows and call us back again and again to the covenant and the work of justice and of humanity and steadfast faithfulness. For this, we are here together today. So, my friends, come, yet again come, let us worship together. A child journeys far from home, fearful and brave, in need of safe harbor.
Tratemos de comprender las causas de huir.
Guided by this chalice, we seek to understand the causes of flight.
Como el consuelo de una vela encendida en una ventana oscura, demos bienvenida a este niño a nuestra casa con simpatía, alimento y cariño.
Like the comfort of a candle flickering in a window of darkness, let us welcome this child into our home with warmth, nourishment, and love.
¿No quisiéramos lo mismo por nuestro propio niño perdido y solo en tierra extranjera?
Would we not want the same for our own child, lost and alone in a strange land?
Carolyn Kellett's song Stonecatcher won the Unitarian Universalist Hymn Competition in 2018, and we've been singing it here since then. I can remember in the early days of trying to sing this song here how difficult it was for me to catch it, and for many of you in the room it will be new. Rise as you are able, and if you can sing the last 2 lines of each slide, and if you can catch that and sing it with gusto by the 3rd time that comes around, count yourself successful, and maybe clap a time or 2. One morning I woke up and I knew what to do. I'd catch all the stones that everyone threw. I'd catch all the sorrow that I could in a day. Then I'd take all the stones and I'd throw them away. Don't ask why, say we must all be free. Don't ask when, say you can count on me. Don't ask why, say we must all be free. Don't ask when, say you can count on me. One morning I woke up and I knew what to do. I'd catch all the stones that everyone threw. I'd catch all the anger that I could in a day. Then I'd take all the stones and I'd throw them away. Don't ask why, say we must all be free. Don't ask when, say you can count on me. Don't ask why, say we must all be free. Don't ask when, say you can count on me. One morning I woke up and I knew what to do. I'd catch all the stones that everyone threw. I'd catch all the injustice that I could in a day. Then I'd take all the stones and I'd throw them away. Don't ask why, say we must all be free. Don't ask when, say you can count on me. Don't ask why, say we must all be free. Don't ask when, say you can count on me. Good job.
Reverend Erica Hewitt, in her reflection, Seeking Mercy, Seeking Home, invites us to consider that for many reasons people depart. They leave home and seek refuge from 1,000 dangers and uncertainties. For many reasons, many of them inconceivable to those of us who live in relative peace and prosperity, people can't stay where they are, in the places they know. So for themselves and their children, they trade the hell they know for the unknown and the foreign. For so many reasons, unimaginable to me and maybe to you too, People give up their sense of belonging, they surrender the climate and the food and the smells and the sounds that their bodies have always known for the new, the unfamiliar, the harsh, and unlearnable. What deep respect these refugees, asylees, and immigrants deserve for their courage, for their capacity to keep moving forward toward hope. Some members of our human family are throwing their arms wide open to welcome those seeking mercy and seeking home. Others are taking up arms to drive them away. It's a painful territory that stretches between the merciful and the damned. As a community of honesty, facts, and holding the painful, we are in the business of holding up important truths and naming how those truths intersect with the news on our screens. In the wake of the unrelenting news cycle, we must remind ourselves of two things. Those of us who call ourselves Americans are all, to some degree, complicit in the unstable geopolitical disasters that result in such vast human suffering. And to adjudicate and assess which refugees are deserving of mercy and which ones aren't is to exhibit an arrogance so dehumanizing that it borders on dangerous. When human suffering comes spilling over our borders, there is no clear division between them and us. Our country's own policies are culpable, and by extension, us. We have protected our American lifestyle of consumption and corporate rule. We play a role in inequality and ecological disasters and wars over dwindling resources. Every time we lose sight of the fact that we're powerful players in a fragile but wildly interconnected global community, which is often. We've lost a bit of our soul. That's what fear does. Fear is a voice that says nothing matters more than self-preservation and self-importance. Fear drains the antifreeze out of your heart so your compassion center runs cold. It cuts off the feeding tube that keeps our souls supple and our morality intact. And fear, I think, is what's at the heart of the stingy fool's game of deciding which immigrants are deserving of asylum. Fear says, from my comfortable position of privilege, I will decide whose hell is raw and terrifying enough to merit compassion. What would it be like, I wonder, to choose another path? How much would it cost us to invoke the principles of our faith and the beating heart of our ethical lives by saying, we're a single, interconnected human family. We make one another stronger and braver by sharing what we have. All people have the same worth and inherent dignity. No human being is illegal. The suffering of people beyond our borders asks us to examine how we've created the conditions for its existence. Some of you, undoubtedly and admirably, are wondering what you can do to bring relief to others. And what I hope you'll remember is that doing something starts small. You're doing something when you allow your heart to tear over the scope of human suffering. You are doing something when you step beyond your experience to acknowledge that we cannot know, and God willing, will never know what it's like to make harrowing decisions. You're doing something when you interrupt a conversation to say, No human being is illegal. It's not kind or civil to talk about people that way. And you're doing enough when you use the language of reverence and interdependence to describe the global community. For so many reasons, people depart. For so many reasons, we as people offer welcome. For the suffering of others, and for so many other reasons, we set aside this moment together to remember, to honor, to hold dear the joys and sorrows in our lives. We symbolize our coming together with our shared bowl, with these large stones. We reach down to the stability and firmness of the earth, which has witnessed every migration and movement since it coalesced out of stardust, because we know that this strength can hold our global pains, joys, our loves, and angers. With our small stones, we add our own personal celebrations and mournings. With this water, we remember that this life-sustaining resource is not always available to all. We offer our witness to those migrating at this very moment, especially those moving through our desert without access to water. Now it's your turn to contribute as you choose to. One way is to go to menti.com and put in the code 45, it's a whole different number, 77139041. Please add your name if you want us to know who is sharing. Another way to contribute is to come up to the table and place a stone in the water to create ripples of hope, comfort, or some other emotion. Finally, we invite you to engage in a moment of reflection, meditation, or prayer to send our hopes out to the world. I invite those of you who wish to come up to the table now and place a stone in the water. Please form two lines. Both sides may come up to the table at the same time. And then please return to your seats, utilizing the outside aisles.
On our Menti today, we have so grateful for the cooler weather. Me and my dog agree with you. A joy of escaping the Tucson heat to return to this congregation and staff. Dee Dee, we're so glad you're back, Dee Dee. Good to have you on the sound back there. I'm glad to be singing with the choir again. I missed them this summer, Brian. Us too. We can't wait to hear you all. Thinking of everyone who is a refugee in this world, hoping they can all find a safe place to call home again. Amen, friend. These words of prayer and invocation are by Reverend Eric Cherry. Let us hold the refugee and the immigrant in prayer. May God be with you. May your grief and loss be assuaged. May the hard road you travel include spaces of rest and security. May you know your inherent worth and dignity every day of the journey. Let us pray for the people who are met along the way. May they remember how they were strangers too. May they embrace the pathways of compassion. May they recall the teachings of prophets. May they make room in their hearts and their homes. Let us find strength for our own migrations and movings. May you find inspiration from your literal and spiritual ancestors. May the interconnected web of all existence catch you when you fall. May you know the way back to yourself. And may you carry home in your heart wherever your body goes. Amen, and may it be.
Ellie Halpert's Loosen, Loosen. Loosen, loosen, baby. You don't have to carry the weight of the world in your muscles and bones. Let go, let go, let go. Loosen, loosen, baby. You don't have to carry the weight of the world in your muscles and bones. Let go, let go, let go. Holy breath and holy name. Will you ease this pain?
Last week, one of my siblings and I asked our mother, we sat with her and asked her to tell us again the story of our grand and our great-grandparents. Now, my grandparents immigrated to the U.S. early in the last century, which is the 1900s, for those of us keeping track. We have some of their stories of resilience, survival, connection, and hope. But earlier than this movement, my ancestors and their lives fade away. We don't have their stories. There was too much time and distance and too little ability to communicate for this extended family to have immigrated to. Researchers think about reasons people migrate in two big categories. People might migrate because they are pushed. They're pushed away from a place that can't support them. For war, for famine, climate change, violence, poverty, the reasons for this push go on and on. People also migrate because they are pulled. They are pulled towards a place for opportunity, for family, for a more stable future. So many reasons to pull people to a new place. And we are remiss if we don't mention another reason. People migrate because they are apprehended. Many have never been given the choice in their own migration. Think not only of the many slave trades, right? The U.S. transatlantic slave trade of 12.5 million people, only 10.7 million of whom survived. But also our internal displacements. Think the indigenous people, people who walked the trail of tears. And also children who are brought to our country by their adults for seeking a better life. People who are apprehended with no choice. So for many of us here in the U.S., the story of our families is told around a great migration of some kind. Before it, we were there, and after, we are here. Before, we were this, and after, we are that. So what's your family story? How far back can you imagine your ancestors? How far back can you imagine your ancestors before they were disrupted by migration, either by choice or by force? Who were they? Where did they live? What were their lives like? We can tell our family stories back to the point in time where they disappear in history, and for some, they have many generations back. I had a seminary professor who can identify 7 or 8 generations in her lineage who were Unitarian. That is a feat. And for some of us, we are the only generation we know. All of our biological ancestors are invisible to us. Their lives and histories are lost during or after migration by choice or by force. For others, the continuation of the family line is one of near misses and lucky timing. Reverend Matthew Johnson wrote about his family's migration journey in a piece called Asking for Refuge. He says that in 1930, his family came to the U.S. from Germany. He writes this: his great-grandmother, Emma Johanna Jacoba Merrill, and her husband Carl, and their children, Ermelin, Fritz, and Ingrid, sailed to New York and made their way by train to Washington State. Carl had fought in the First World War for the Kaiser, and he saw the signs. He knew by 1930 that another war was coming, so they sold everything and left Europe behind. Near misses in 1930. Reverend Matthew writes about the boat they didn't take, because 9 years later, the same boat they were on, the MS St. Louis, left on May 13th from Germany with 937 passengers bound for Cuba. They were not allowed to dock in Cuba. Many of the refugees on this boat, Jewish, fleeing from the Holocaust, were not allowed to disembark, faced by rampant xenophobia and anti-Semitism. They were turned away back to Europe. Now, some in Europe did take the refugees. Everyone that landed in Great Britain lived. However, just over half of the people that escaped in Europe were murdered in the Holocaust. 254 souls turned away from Cuba, denied entry into the United States, and killed in the Holocaust. Reverend Matthew Johnson writes, "Every time I read this account, I weep. I weep because my family got on the boat and got off and took the train, and so I live. Every time I read this account, I weep, and I don't know what else to say. I want to take every politician and pundit, everyone whose heart has shrunk 2 sizes too small, and sit down at a table together. A kitchen table, perhaps, where we sing with joy, with sorrow. We pray of suffering and remorse, we give thanks. A kitchen table, and we can all pray. Recall our ancestors, and I'll read the account of the St. Louis and its passengers, and I'll read it again, and I'll read it again, and I'll read it again, until their hearts are opened and their conscience awakens." The moral component of history, the most necessary component, states Omar al-Akkad in his book, One Day, Everyone Will Have Been Against This. The moral component is a single, simple question asked over and over again. When it mattered, who sided with justice and who sided with power? What makes moments such as this one that we are in so dangerous, so clarifying, is that one way or another, everyone is forced to answer. And in hindsight, we mourn, we regret, we feel anger at the plight of those on that boat. We all want to have been on the right side of that history, knowing that there are boats here and now that we too cannot turn from. There are boats, and there are planes, and there are walking shoes. And without the luxury of hindsight, we must make a stand. The question is undeniable that Unitarian Universalist values implore us to alleviate suffering where we can, to acknowledge the interconnections we have with all of life. But what do we do when it is our borders that people are trying to cross? And I don't mean on a national sense, right? We can identify with national politics, with the policing, militarization, the walling of our border with Mexico because we live so close to it. But we at UUCT, in this building, in this room, are at the crux of the push and pull of our values and our resources. In Tucson, we have people moving, as people have always moved towards opportunity and away from pain. And in tension with this very fact of human existence, maybe even a human right of movement, is the fact that UUCT, you, the congregation, is a property owner, a steward of this parcel of land that your donations go to support. So the question becomes, how do we steward our resources wisely and live our values in the world, which call for the bodily autonomy of every person, their inherent worth and dignity? Isn't this the same question about walls and laws we must ask at a national level? And just like on the national level, we here are impacted by forces beyond our property boundaries that are reflections of the push, pull, apprehension of human migration. So here it is in practical terms. In June 2025, 2 months ago, the Tucson City Council voted to make sleeping in Tucson's washes illegal. The Tucson Sentinel reports that City Attorney Mike Rankin proposed the ordinance banning camping in washes, along with one that criminalized standing in medians, which passed in March. So now there's 2 ordinances, prohibiting camping and prohibiting standing in medians, which equates to making panhandling illegal. Camping, according to the ordinance, is setting up bedding, tents, shade structures, fires, portable stoves for the purpose of maintaining a temporary place to sleep or live. A violation of the law is punishable by fines of up to $250 or less, or up to 10 days in jail. How will somebody who can't afford a place to live pay a fine up to $250? So the city tried to pass a similar law a year ago, but the public outcry over just this very question caused it to delay. City council delayed that decision. However, this year, prompted by Proposition 312, the city took it up again. Now, Proposition 312 is a law approved by voters in November of 2024 that would allow Arizonans to get a refund on their property taxes if they can prove local governments neglected to address the negative effects of homelessness near their property. So in November 24, we have Proposition 312, which criminalizes homelessness. So the city, to cover their assets, puts in another law to criminalize homelessness in the city. So this recent no sleeping in washes ordinance is a way to protect the city from liability for 312. And as many of us know, this spring and summer, the city closed Santa Rita Park, which is right down 22nd Street, and the 100-acre woods, two areas of the city that were used as temporary shelters and camping spots, displacing even more people in the city of Tucson. And at UUCT, we have historically experienced an increase in foot traffic every monsoon season as people move out of the washes and onto higher ground, the streets. So while it seems like there is more foot traffic this year because of these factors, the city ban and the rainy season, is it actually true that there's more homelessness today than there was a year ago? Luckily, the city of Tucson does a survey every January. It's called the Point in Time Count, and the data says no. There is not an increase in homelessness, there's an increase in movement. So let me give you the numbers for those of you that are number peoples. If you're not a number person, come back in a few minutes. On the night of the 2025 count, there were about 2,218 people identified as experiencing homelessness across Pima County. This is the whole county. Both sheltered and unsheltered. The city makes a really interesting distinction of people that have access to some shelters, so the city shelters or other places, and people that have no access to shelters. This reflects a 5.5% increase over last year's total. However, when placed in context, this increase is far more modest than the 18% national increase. So we are having a less of an increase than other places in the country. What's particularly noteworthy, according to the county, is that 100% of the increase in Pima County came from sheltered homelessness, while unsheltered homelessness remained virtually unchanged since 2024. So people without any access to shelter at all is stable. Another interesting fact that the city reported is that youth homelessness among 18 to 24-year-olds has decreased by 32%. That I take to be a very encouraging statistic. So these trends reflect intentional investments in increasing system capacity, outreach, and strategizing around unsheltered homelessness, investments that are saving lives and opening doors according to the city of Tucson. Push and pull. Our resources, our property, our rights, our values. Push and pull. What do we do when they collide? There are no easy answers to what might be the hardest questions we will ever ask ourselves. How do we live our values in the world when one of our values, stewardship of our own resources, conflicts with the other, the inherent worth and dignity of all? Maybe we lean into coalition. There are many coalitions in Tucson, including the city, who are working to put people in homes before addressing other concerns such as substance abuse or mental illness. So how do we support those organizations that are values aligned and working to get resources to those in need? Maybe we work on stewardship of our own resources. Yes, we have a responsibility to our property, how we use it and who we welcome on it. We cannot afford to keep paying for repairing vandalism. Every time I go into the kitchen after the vandalism from 2 weeks ago, I pick up shards of glass. We cannot risk a child finding drug paraphernalia on our property. We cannot offer the level of homeless services that the city can as much as we might want to. And we have a moral obligation to our fellow humans. Everyone has inherent worthiness, no matter what. No matter what, we must always side with justice, always, most especially when it isn't easy. Back in 2015, Reverend Kendall Gibbons wrote, "For in the end, if our liberal faith teaches us nothing else, surely it teaches this, that there is no us and them, that only evil ever results from thinking that humanity can be divided into those who matter and those who don't. We are in it together for whatever this life and this world are worth. The earth is our commonwealth, and it is only when we welcome one another that we are just, and only when we are just that we are secure. We have only one shared future on this planet. Either our capacity for competition will kill us, or our capacity for cooperation will save us. It's not a decision I can make for everyone," she writes, "but you will find me standing on the side of cooperation, compassion, and love. We are all migrants through history on a journey together that will bring us either to destruction or to a whole new place of possibilities for humanity, for the earth and its inhabitants. The summoning of that longed-for land with all its promise and the perils of the journey from here to there is for every one of us, neighbors and strangers both. And we might as well sing along the way."
This church is supported by the voluntary generosity of all who join with us. However you participate in today's service, our congregation depends upon you for your love, your time, and your financial support. For those of you here in person, the ushers will be soon passing the collection baskets among you. For those of you watching from afar, you can send a check to our church office, give online at uuctucson.org/donate, or text 833-361-5796. We have been warmed by fires we did not build. We have drunk at wells we did not dig. In acknowledgement of our many blessings and many needs, you may place your contribution in the offering basket. As the offering is collected, Announcements about upcoming activities will appear on the screen.
This is my first time in the new pulpit. Hello, I'm Wendy Gordon Weeks. I am the president of this amazing congregation, and I'm a member of your board of trustees. My portfolios include administration and congregational health. We have a few announcements for you. First, I want to invite everyone to social hour, which is after the service in Goddard Hall, out those doors behind you to your left and across the patio. You'll find coffee, tea, lemonade, snacks, and good company. Food is free for all, but donations are always appreciated to cover our costs. If you're new and you want to stay in touch with us, you can fill out a guest information card in the Welcome Center in Goddard. You can also find a virtual guest card on our website in the newcomer section. Several announcements. Choir began August 13th, right here. So that was just this week. You've only missed 1 week. Come join us. I sing with them too. We'd love to have you. We love more voices. So we rehearse every Wednesday at 5:30 until 6:45. There is a newcomer breakfast on September 21st, and that will, you're invited to join the welcome and membership team for a light breakfast and orientation. This is an opportunity to meet other new folks and to gain information about Unitarian Universalism, to learn about UUCT, and to learn about membership. Childcare is available. If you need it, just let Mary Holly know in your RSVP. Mary Holly's waving her hand over here. I have an email address for her. I think you probably won't remember it. You can come see me after if you need her email or phone number, or you can find Mary Holly. We also heard about the policy regarding uninvited law enforcement on campus in the welcome. So if you have questions about that policy, please find a board member, including me, a member of the safety team, or Reverend Jamili. We're staying up to date on the situations we find ourselves in and revisiting it as necessary. And the transitions consultant hiring team, that is our current stage in the process of our transition. So we are in transition between our last settled minister, Reverend Bethany Russell Lowe, and our next settled ministry. We're approaching it a little bit differently. So the transitions consultant hiring team has been interviewing people and will be talking with the board about their recommendations today. That team includes me, Jan Mulder, Tom Gregg, and Frank Valdez, and then Reverend Jamili in an ex officio capacity. So if you have more questions about the transition and how that's going, let us know, and we'll be telling you more soon about who will be joining us to help with some of the transition activity that needs to happen. So come talk with me or someone else on the board. You'll see us with these blue lanyards. If you want any more information, I'll be available in social hour. If you have questions or feedback for your board, we do have a board meeting today you might have seen, and everyone's welcome. That's at 12:30. Thank you.
We For community, for gifts we share, and how we show our love and care. With thinking minds and helping hands, we'll build a place where love and hope is spent.
There were a bunch of them today, so they might be straggling over. But we will invite them into our game of imagination when they arrive, okay? So we're gonna play a game of Let's Pretend, so you all have to pretend to be the children. In this game, I am not looking for one answer, I'm not looking for a right answer, I'm looking for your answer, okay? There's no right answer, no wrong answer, just your answer. It goes like this. I want you to imagine you are on a television show, on a game show. You remember those game shows on daytime television? You're offered the option of 2 doors. You get to pick. Door number 1, you will receive $1 million. That's right, $1 million, door number 1. Door number 2, your neighbors, your 10 nearest neighbors, but not you and your own family, will receive $1 million. Just to make sure, your neighbors will be legally prohibited from giving you any of the money. Okay, so you can't form a co-op, which is what I think you would want to do. Let's form a co-op all together. But your 10 nearest neighbors will become millionaires. So think about this. Which door do you open? Door number 1, which makes you and only you a millionaire, or door number 2, which makes your 10 nearest neighbors a millionaire. Now, I'll give you a minute to think about it. But here's the big question I want you to think about while you're thinking about your answer, is why would you choose the answer that you would choose? I'm going to ask you to explain your reasoning why, right? And there's no one answer, there's no right or wrong. We're not going to shame you out the door if you say the answer that we don't agree with. Mostly because I'm not handing out $10 million. So there's no investment in this. Are we ready? Who's a neighbor? Oh, we have an even bigger question. Who is a neighbor? And are they worthy of $1 million apiece?
They can't share with us, but are we allowed to share with them?
Oh, that is not said. Would that change your answer, Dee Dee, if you were allowed to share with them? Heck yeah. Okay. What else? Other questions? Or who's ready to pick a door? Door number 1, $1 million?
I'm picking door number 1
Door number 1.
because all of our personal neighbors are financially very comfortable. That's $1 million. I don't know what they would do with it, and I would use $1 million to do good in the world and to fund causes I'm very passionate about.
Fabulous. So we've got one for door number 1. Any other answers?
What she said.
Thank you, Tom. I'm going to move to your neighborhood. Say it loud. Door number 1. Why? Same as, okay. Thank you for sharing your answer. Helen. Oh, we've got a door number 2.
Because my neighbors are not financially secure.
Bec-
And they are in a moderate to low income area. They could use it. I would feel dreadful to suddenly have so much more than everyone else.
So door number 2, because the neighbors are not personally wealthy. I will get you in the back, but we're going to explain to the kids. So here's the question, everybody. The question that I just asked was, would you, if you were on a game show, this is imaginary, you're not actually going to get $1 million, but if you were on a game show and you could either pick to open a door and you get $1 million, or you open a different door and 10 of your neighbors each get $1 million, which would you pick? So think about that, why you might pick what you pick. So I saw Athena in the back and Margot. Say it loud.
I would pick door number 1 because then I could share it with everyone and we would all have the same amount of money.
Door number 1, because then we could share it with everyone. Really interesting. One more answer. Anybody? Wendy.
Door number 1 said we give it to UUCT.
Oh! If she wasn't already doing 10, who wants to give it to the church? If Wendy wasn't already doing so many jobs, I'd ask you to be our stewardship campaign. Right. So there's a lot of different ways we can make this decision, right? Do we make it based on who lives around us? Do we make it based on the golden rule? Do unto others as we would have them do unto us? Do we make it based on the greatest good for the greatest number? Lots of ways to think about making that decision. And in Unitarian Universalism, what we really want to know is how. How do we make that decision? And we know that we've got a lot of tough decisions coming up here, and how we're going to make them, and how we're going to make them together is really what I'm interested in. Thank you all for playing.
I recently had a conversation with Sarah Lynch Thomason's high school choir director. She's about 27, 28 years old now. And so I was tickled that this very accomplished individual just bubbled with pride at the creation of his former student and the creations of this former student. This song is one we haven't sung in a while. It will be one that I hope that you will catch fairly quickly. The words are repetitive enough that you'll see underlined words change each slide, so you can focus on those. And if you can't catch the tune or the words, see if you can catch the There are more waters rising, this I know, this I know. There are more waters rising, this I know. There are more waters rising, they will find their way to me. There are more waters rising, this I know, this I know. There are more waters rising, this I know. And I'm going to change the pitch here, I'm sorry, but I meant to start it here. There are more fires burning, this I know, this I know. There are more fires burning, this I know. There are more fires burning when they find their way to me. There are more fires burning, this I know, this I know. There are more fires burning, this I know. There are more mountains falling, this I know, this I know. There are more mountains falling, this I know. There are more mountains falling, they will find their way to me. There are more mountains falling, this I know, this I know. There are more mountains falling, this I know. I will wade through the waters, I know, this I know. I will wade through the waters, this I know. Stand if you will. I will wade through the waters when they find their way to me. I will wade through the waters, this I know, this I know. I will wade through the waters, this I know. And I will walk through the fires, this I know, this I know. I will walk through the fires, this I know. I will walk through the fires when they find their way to me. I will walk through the fires, this I know, this I know. I will walk through the fires, this I know. I will rebuild the mountains, this I know, this I know. I will rebuild the mountains, this I know. I will rebuild the mountains when they find their way to me. I will
Our chalice extinguishing is by Gitanjali. It is Gitanjali 35 by Rabindranath Tagore. Where the mind is free, where the mind is without fear and the head is held high, where knowledge is free, where the world has not been broken up into fragments by narrow domestic walls, where words come out from the depths of truth, where tireless striving stretches its arms towards perfection, where the clear stream of reason has not lost its way into the dreary desert sand of dead habit, where the mind is led forward by thee into ever-widening thought and action, into that heaven of freedom, my Father, let my country awake.